Welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Andrej Babiš has delivered his victory speech in Prague tonight after preliminary results show his ANO party leading with some 35 to 38% of the vote. He now faces the delicate task of forming a coalition that can navigate Czech's European, NATO, and Ukraine posture. Joining us today on TVP World to analyze what comes next is Miroslav Wlachovský, former Slovak foreign minister and veteran of regional diplomacy. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good evening.
So what can we infer from Babiš's speech and framing his victory speech about how hard he intends to pivot Czech's policies and even his foreign relations?
Andrej Babiš is a clear winner of these elections, and now he has to form his coalition. And what he presented himself as a leader of Czechs who wants a stronger voice in Europe when it comes to Green Deal, when it comes to other European policies. We know that he is a member of European group Patriots together with Viktor Orban. But I think there are significant differences still between him and Viktor Orban. So what we can now expect is that in next couple of days he will try to form the coalition, because even with quite impressive victory, there is a need for coalition partners, at least two of them. So.
All right, like I mentioned, coalition building is necessary going forward. In practice, how constrained is Babiš going to be with the coalition arithmetics? Do you think that he will be more constrained with some of his more hardline position due to the fact of having to build a coalition around forming a government?
Well, he declared before the elections that he would prefer the one-party government, even with a silent support of some coalition partners. So we shall see that there are two possible coalition partners. One is the party called Motorists, and one is the party of Tomio Okamura, which is sort of a extremist party. So I think he would prefer to form a government without the direct involvement of Mr. Okamura. But we shall see how will it go in the next couple of days.
Right. So if any concessions were made, if any coalition were built with these more extremist party, do you expect it to have more impact on a domestic level, or are we going to see some foreign policy shifts as well?
I think it would probably go more domestically. When it comes to the foreign policy, I think even before the elections, Mr. Babiš was forced to declare very clearly that he is against any attempt to leave the EU or NATO. He declared himself that during his government there will be no referendum whatsoever about the membership in EU and NATO. He declared it because that was the goal of party of Mr. Okamura. So he has to position himself on this one very clearly, and I do not expect big shifts in a Czech foreign policy. Although I think there we can see this probably the sliding away the support for Ukraine, because the previous government of Prime Minister Fiala was one of the staunchest supporters of Ukraine, with their munition initiative and with a strong coalition of willing. We shall see how Mr. Babiš will approach this, but it's probable that he will spend less energy and less focus on Ukraine.
Like I said, we have to see how that developed, but Babiš did talk about reducing aid to Ukraine as well. But as opposed to the president, Petro Pavel, who is pretty supportive of Ukraine, do you think that he can play any role when it comes to being a bulwark against these sort of drifts?
Yes, I think President Pavel is very clear on his positions, and his views are very clear. And one must also add that he is a former NATO general. He is a former chief of a military committee of NATO, so he is one very well informed and very well educated on military matters. So his voice is voice of authority. And plus, in the Czech system, there is also a significant role of the upper chamber of Czech Parliament, the Czech Senate. So therefore, I'm not afraid that the Czech foreign policy will so-called change from one day to another, because there is this system of check and balances which is not that present, for example, in some other Central European countries.
Right, like I mentioned, even internally, there is a check and balance when it comes to how it all functions when it comes to foreign policy. And on the EU and the Brussels level, do you think they have any sort of leverage they can use? How much flexibility does EU have realistically to pressure the new Czech government on various issues?
Well, we shall see, first of all, how much any pressure will be needed, because we didn't see any confrontation yet. However, in Czech Republic, there is a strong support for EU competitiveness, and there is a lot of dissatisfaction with the current Green Deal. Mm-hmm. So there will be a strong push against certain environmental policies within the European Union as they are formulated now, but we shall see how it will work.
Right. Going into this election and now seeing the results, do you think most voters are voting more on domestic and economic issues, or how much do you think foreign policy and all these considerations, be it EU, NATO, Ukraine, has registered in the mind of the voters?
I think, like in any other countries, the main concerns are domestic and economic and money-wise. Although I think Czech Republic is doing quite well when you look at the Czech data, they are in comparison with other countries are doing quite well when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to GDP. So, but it doesn't necessarily transform to the feelings of consumers. There was a big issue about the high energy price. There was an issue of availability of housing for young people. Those were the issues in the campaign. And I must say that Mr. Babiš and his party is a populist party in many aspects, and they promise quite a lot. So, but how much of those promises are based on the real facts and how economic can support it, we shall see.
Right, like I mentioned, there's a lot of promise going into this. Babiš has promised tax cuts and higher wages as well. A lot of it doesn't seem to be very concrete when it comes to how the plans look like. Of course, we don't know if there's anything in the wraps, but it doesn't seem to be very transparent at this point in time just yet. Do you think that he will be able to keep some of these promises without jeopardizing the Czech credit or even some EU relations?
That's a very good question, and you asked me about how much the foreign policy and security was an issue in these elections in your previous question, and I should say that it was much higher than in any previous elections in Czech Republic. Due to the international environment, there is a war in Ukraine, Russian aggressions against Ukraine. As I said, Czechs were very much supporting the Ukraine defense, and this will not go away. The issues of Ukraine will stay with us, and the question is how this will play in overall European politics. And Mr. Babiš is also facing the need to support defense industry and the need to support Czech armed forces. And the question, as always, is from which sources, from which money?
Also curious, do you think that this election result is more of a result of an ideological shift, or is it more a pragmatic decision?
I think it's a pragmatic decision, and I think the previous government was in many aspects quite successful, although not very good in communications, even its own successes or even its own reform achievements. And I consider if Mr. Fiala would communicate as he was communicating, let's say, last 2-3 weeks in the campaign all the time, his results would probably be much better. But this is what happened, and I must say, when it comes to explaining issues in a very simple language and promising, Mr. Babiš is quite a good politician.
Last but not least, just to pick on your expertise a little bit, what does this new government is going to mean for Czech and Slovak relations?
This is very important because I think this election is very important not only for Czech Republic but for whole Central Europe. There were tensions between government of Mr. Fiala and Mr. Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia. I think with Mr. Babiš, who is more aligned with Mr. Fico, these tensions will go away. But how this will manifest practically, how much concrete results will it bring in cooperation between Czech Republic and Slovakia, we shall see. I think Fiala's government was very much oriented on a collaboration with a coalition of willing, and with Western government, Mr. Babiš wants to recreate the cooperation within the V4. That means cooperation between Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Poland. I think they're still missing the force to that kind of cooperation because Poland is not very keen to cooperate with Mr. Orbán, let's say.
Right, definitely. A lot of dynamic coming into this. And like you mentioned, there's still a way to be seen. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Bye-bye.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.